and learn. Glad to be here.
Okay.
Wonderful to meet you.
It's a pleasure.
Okay. So then we have Katarzyna. Katarzyna, I think, explained earlier that she was traveling, so she might be at least joining us either via text or just listening through. So, oh,
Hi, I'm with you.
okay, awesome. So, yeah, so Katarzyna can introduce herself, what she's doing, and
I'm Katarzyna or Kasia. I don't know if I can participate so fully, but I will try. I'm very interested in the topic and what you guys have to say, and maybe I have to say something too, but I don't know. And as you see, I'm not Black, but I'm quite often in Eastern Africa, and have due to the work of my parents, so I visit quite often in Tanzania, and I'm interested what is your experience of living here as Africans in Poland, and how does it change right now in the situation? Yeah.
okay,
So that was me.
great.
Oh,
Wonderful to meet you as well.
yeah. We are really happy to meet you, and I hope this also will open a new chapter, because you mentioned Tanzania. Oh my God, it's another country that saves Polish people during the occupation.
Yeah,
So
there's some history.
it's really interesting. I've been to the cemetery before to pay my respect also in Tanzania, and I still hope one day again I will go back again. It's good to have you here, Mrs. Katarzyna Winiska.
Okay, Katarzyna is the long name for Kasia, yes, so you can call me Kasia. Okay,
Yeah.
maybe it's easier.
How we call you Kate?
Yeah.
How we call you Kate?
Yeah.
Okay, it's okay.
Okay, great. So
I will mute myself now, okay?
okay, Katarzyna, it's okay, Kasha. Okay, great. So then we have Tafara. Tafara, you can say something about yourself.
All right. Hi, I'm Tafara Manyembere. I come from Zimbabwe. And at the moment, I'm based in Poland. I'm a student at the Polytechnic in Białystok, studying civil and environmental engineering.
Awesome.
And I've been here for 2 years, 9 months. So it's been quite some time. And it's nice to meet you guys.
Very nice to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you too. Then we have Chris, who's helping me out with some technical issues.
Hi, everybody. My name is Chris. I'm originally from America, but I now am in France.
Okay.
That's it? You have no more to say? Everybody said what they're doing here. Go ahead, tell the people.
Okay.
So Chris is my husband, and
I know. I was waiting for when.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
I was waiting.
Tell the people your crazy wife brought you here.
My crazy wife brought me here. She wanted me to get to know the culture, and I will say it's been a wonderful experience with some interesting things as well, but it's been a very good experience.
Okay, great. So it's actually good to know that, and it's nice to have you guys here. So question is, who's at the bathroom? Between you two, who's hiding in the bathroom? Because you have to find
Nobody.
No. He's upstairs and I'm downstairs in the office.
Yeah. Kidding. Okay. So basically, my name is Felix. I come from Kenya. I've been here from since. So I've been here since 2015. Like around I think it was in August. Yeah. So so I've been here since then. I work here, and yeah. I mean, I've had some experiences in Poland. I know it's not the longest time, but I've had my own experiences. And the reason as to why I decided to actually do this, I'm still actually battling and trying to get this on Facebook, but hopefully we'll manage to do that. I just, there's a lot that has been going around lately, and with the whole COVID issues, there's been some racial prejudice and discrimination. Of course, the blacks are the ones who are facing it hard, especially around this time. We also had like some discrimination, or rather racial discrimination against the Asians, or rather, yeah, the Asian people. We had some bad experience with the lady in some city in Poland, where some kids, some young kids were actually calling her Corona, and throwing some objects at her. And I could imagine myself being in such a situation, because I actually had a similar experience. So I could actually just imagine being her. But anyway, so this is an Asian person experiencing the same. But we're here to actually talk about us as Black people, because it's so easy to ideas. It's funny because Chris is actually an American, but when it comes to discrimination against Black, or rather, Africans, no one will actually think twice that, okay, Chris is from America, so maybe we should treat him in a different way, which is usually the case, but it doesn't work like that, yeah? And
I am from Poland, and they don't think anything. I was born here. I speak their language fluently,
yeah.
And they don't think anything. It doesn't matter. Even though when you hear me speak Polish, you know that I'm not a foreigner who learned Polish. It is clearly evident that I am one of them, and they still treat you different. But what I want you guys to know is that no matter what you've experienced in Poland now, it is a bazillion times better than what it was when I was a child here.
Yeah,
it was different. So they're going up slowly, very painful process, but it's a bazillion times better than what it was.
Yeah, I mean, that's good to know, because I also had a friend who came here, like guys who came in like 20 years ago, or around 25 years ago, something like that. And yeah, they told me that it was hard, like it was hardcore, because they had to go through all the system, and now they're typical Polish. It's like they mingle around. It's like they even, it's only the skin that pairs them between, differentiates them between an African and being Polish. But anyway, so yeah, so basically this is what we want to talk about, some experiences, and where we are headed to after this, post-COVID, then what. We'll also touch on the issues going on in China, the recent issues, like a week old or something. It's crazy, it's nasty. We have some people who are sleeping on the street, and it's really sick. And it's it's the other day I was actually almost tears, yeah, because I felt it. I was like, to be honest, this can happen to me because I'm not living in my country. I'm in a foreign country. So, if something happens to me such that they say they want Blacks out, I'm not really going to put it like only Blacks, but it's like when you decide that there's a specific race that needs to leave, yeah, then it's a problem for people who are not in their country, yeah, because you don't know what next, what will happen. So people are being kicked out of their apartments. Then what do you do? Yeah. So to start over, or rather, let me see. So just give me a second.
So my introduction just goes down as the crazy wife of Chris. I don't get opportunity.
Okay, cool. I actually wrote this one down. Let me see.
But wait a second. She should get an opportunity to tell us a little bit of.
Okay, thank you, Esther. Thank you. Okay, so I'm taking the opportunity. My name is Alexandra, but that's the government name. I go by Lexi. I was originally born here. I lived through the craziness that were the 80s in Poland for Black people.
Yeah.
What the situation that he described that happened to the Chinese lady, it happened to me all the time. Luckily for me, my father took me from here and I went to America. I lived in America for 25 years, married my wonderful husband. We both retired from the military and decided to come back here like crazy people. So, you know, because who leaves America to come to Poland? Everybody's like, what is wrong with you people? But this is home for me. This is where I began. And so we wanted the kids to learn the language. And because we are here, the racism, Polish people left me believing that the racism was non-existent in Poland. So we felt it was safe to come back.
Yeah.
And we got here, and that is not the truth. So I have been on a personal crusade for the last few months with changing that. And Tafara is a person I met through an interview that was done about me for coming back, because Polish people are very curious as to what in the world happened. Like, why would I leave America, the place that they all want to go to come back here? But there's no place like home. And I believe that Poland needs massive amounts of change. It is better, but it is not good. And so if we all always leave, then it's never going to get better. The difference between me and you guys is that I'm just a little closer to being Polish. So when I speak to them, they understand it a little bit better. They take a little bit more heed to it. Originally, my father came here to study medicine from Nigeria. I lived in Nigeria too. So I'm kind of like a melting pot of all things Black. My love for my Black skin has cost me the relationship with my mother. So this has become, I lost my mom, so now Poland has to change, because if not, then I lost her for no reason. So that's kind of why we decided to take part in this meeting. And I'm so happy all of you weathered the storms in my country, you know, because you don't feel what I feel for this place. So I'm very happy that all of you are still here, because I know that sometimes it can be very difficult. That's all I got.
Okay,
Oh,
cool.
wow.
So that's good. Yeah, guys, keep on going. I think I figured out something.
I have a question for everybody though.
Sure.
Like, what made you come to Poland? Of all the places in the world that you could go, why Poland? And did you know about the racism issue before you came?
Okay, so okay, because I don't know on which side of your screen, or rather I appear. But anyway, so basically for me it was because of family. Yeah, I got married to my wife, who was she worked with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, so she was actually in Kenya for a diplomatic mission. We met and you know, got my firstborn was born in Kenya, a boy, and after, you know, after the contract was done, she was supposed to come back to Poland, and we thought that it was actually a good idea for me to come and, you know, at least know her motherland and see how it is over here. So that's how it happened, you know, like drop whatever you're doing, come start over in Poland. So yeah, that's how I got here. Yeah, so basically it was a lady. The same way you got someone from the States, it's the same way. I think Chris will side with me on this one. So
I understand.
Yeah.
All right. So for me personally, I would say it was I don't know. There's a certain kind of thinking in Kenya about abroad. And it doesn't really matter if it's North America or South America or next door, it's abroad, and we were going abroad. So ever since I was a kid, I wanted to leave the country and just see the world. And Poland was the very first opportunity I had. And before coming here, I actually knew nothing of this country. In my mind, I was just, you know, we're going to Europe. And so here we are. So it was on a scholarship. I came for school, finished that, and now I teach. And that's just about it for me.
What do you teach?
English.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, privately.
Oh, me,
Public school, no way. Do not do that.
Cool. We own an English school and we teach online, so we might need to get together after this is over.
We might need to do that.
Well, I came here for school, but it's actually a funny story how I got to get here because it was very, very easy for me. Because I was like, when I was in high school, I had this best friend of mine who we were just talking about going for university abroad. And then we just started joking around with Poland, like, why don't we go to Poland, which is very far away from home? Then we get to learn new cultures, new languages. But then at the end of it all, the only thing that I've managed to learn was mainly the culture, not the language, because the language is very, very difficult. These 2 years, 9 months, yeah, I've had some experiences. I've met a lot of nice people. I've met Chris, I've met Lexi, and now I'm meeting you guys. So I hope we'll meet in person sometime. So mainly here, I'm here for school. And this is not my final destination. Because when I graduate next year, I'm planning to move on and then learn another thing somewhere else, definitely another continent. And then definitely I'll be visiting once and sometime after I'm done because I need to go to do my master's somewhere else. So that's my story right now.
Okay, could someone do me a favor? Are you able to check if we are live on?
You are live.
Awesome.
You are live. I just got the notification.
Awesome. So, yeah, I just had to use a workaround. Let me see if there's audio on it.
So, Kule, you're the one that is left, though.
Okay,
Where
so.
is he? Oh, he's not here.
So, yes. Okay, so it's Chris, yeah. I mean, I know Chris is your story is.
What's the
Chris?
question?
The question was, how did you end up in Poland, and did you know about the racism before you got here?
Oh, thank you.
Oh.
Actually, I came to Poland. Oh, I hope I'm not breaching the protocol.
Okay.
No, it's okay.
I hope I'm not breaching the protocol.
No, it's okay.
Okay. Well, actually, it may interest other participants. I came to Poland to study, and after graduating from the university, I temporarily moved abroad to work, and I see Poland from another perspective, as an outsider. So then I choose to come back again. Then I started a life in Poland. So since then, I've been living here, and I've been trying to do my best to be a good example for people to follow. Because if I narrate my experience about my Polish experience, it's long that I cannot give it in a short form, because I came in at the time that we are not in the European Union. I came in at the time that the Polish was migrating from analog to the digital life. And I came when Poland, the international airport was still a bungalow compared to what we have now. So I can say that I saw Poland transiting from what they used to be and what they are today. But there are more to do. Because the very first time that I traveled out of Poland to London, I saw that the English people or the authority in England have all information in Polish, in French, in all languages that you can see in any part of the world. That gives the Polish people opportunity to quickly integrate very fast. But when I came back to Poland, I see that, oh my God, I'm still a visitor. I'm still I don't know how to put it. I'm still like in a mix of nowhere that nobody can help me, like a lonely land. So since then, I've been trying to push, to meet people, to talk to people. There's a need for status quo to change. There's a need for Poland to move from a point to another, not only about developing the the country in terms of infrastructure wise. They have to develop it also in terms of all inclusive. And that brings us to the reality now that we are under a serious threatening pandemic, that most of the information that you can find out there are all in Polish, forgetting that in Poland, we have people from all walks of life. So,
Exactly.
and that was why I was really, you know, I don't know to say over excited when Akala told me about this meeting that we was to meet to discuss. I said, oh, it will be a great opportunity for us to discuss positively and see possibly a way, you know, to correct the wrong. Because these are things that I think administratively, one or two people can take it up, you know, to put a letter in form of an advice to the authority. An African man who doesn't have deep knowledge of this, I'm a Polish, and I don't really understand the language. Sincerely, I'm Polish. I can't even speak the language correctly. How much more that you want now? You now want to give me information in Polish language that I don't really understand. For example, if you tell me don't go there, like Zakas, you're supposed to put it like, okay, this place is forbidden, no trespass, then I will know. But if you just put Zakas, I don't know the meaning of Zakas. I will just continue working. Then you see me as a lawbreaker. You see me as someone, you know, that doesn't know what he's doing. But if you try to come to my level by writing your Zakas, and under the Zakas, you can put under forbidden, or you can put verboten. You can put other languages. Everybody understand that this place is no go area. So that is one point which I think we can address as a group, you know,
to elaborate on your point.
Yeah, sure.
This is actually already happening.
Mm-hmm.
We are in the Tri-City, so in the Tri-City English speakers group, every single when the rules change, like now they updated that they want masks on the 16th mandatory for everybody. These things are already being put out in English, but I see that most of you are from Warsaw, like Tafara's from Białystok. Maybe in your area it's not happening. Corey, to bridge the gap between, you know, I'm still Polish, so to bridge the gap, I got it on that African page that we all met. I'll go ahead and post that information in English from now on, so that you guys can see it. I posted on my personal page, but I'll go ahead, since you're bringing it up, so we can get a little better.
Yeah, you see that you guys in Tri-City are a step ahead of us. It's a shame on us from Warsaw. Frankly speaking, this is the capital city, and it's supposed to be the one to lead. And unfortunately, we're having someone who is a clear-headed as our president in Warsaw in person of a Rafael. I think I would like to see the model of Tri-City, and probably for us to see what we can also do in Warsaw. Because, you know, I want to round up because we have other people to speak. In any situation that you find yourself in a country that you don't understand their language, you are like a newborn baby. So you need to be pampered, you need to be, you know, welcome, you need to be tutored, you need to be guided, you need to be, you know, supported, so as for you to be able to speak that language. So I think on that note, the Polish authority or the host states have a role to play in doing that, in order to encourage us and encourage others, so as for them to be able to seek a way of assimilating quicker and faster. Sincerely, Poland is open for all. Poland is for us. Thank you.
Okay, great. So I think yeah, Omoba just touched on one point, which somehow it was to come, but yeah, to be honest, the issue with you know, with having, let's say, multiple languages when it comes to illustrating something or trying to yeah. So like for example, the thing with the COVID, there's a vehicle that moves around, yeah, and just by the fact that I know what's going on, I assume that that vehicle moving around, it's meant to warn everyone that you're not supposed to go out without a mask. You're supposed to stay indoors. So I mean, the irony, not even the irony, but my question is like, so assuming I don't care, yeah, I didn't get it. It's because, you know, it's not only about saying it in English, but it's about putting it in multiple languages, you know, like German, English, you know, French, Spanish, you know, because there's some people like me, I'll just walk out and then I'll got, you know, like I'll get into trouble just because someone decided that, yeah, we said this, there's information going around where you didn't get, where you didn't say it or why you never had it. And then the other issue is the fact that we don't have any English or any other international languages that any TV channels that actually broadcast anything in different languages. At least this is what I know. Maybe you guys know of others that it's specifically Polish sent. I mean, like it focuses on Poland, but at the same time, it relays this information in different languages, such that if it's news, at least we know there's news in this in a language that everyone can understand. I know it's our mandate and we are obliged to know Polish because we live in Poland, yeah? At least, you know, you need to know a thing or two about it. But at the same time, Poland is opening up room for people to come in, yeah? For immigrants to come to Poland. So I believe also it's high time that they make an effort to do this. I mean, this is some of the things that I really find a hard time to to operate while in Poland. Like yesterday, I was at the fuel station. There's something written at there was a sticker there in Polish. And I knew that it's definitely a warning. But you see, I didn't get it. I had to go out, snap it with my phone, try to translate the thing, just so that I don't end up getting into trouble. So anyway, so yeah, so basically, yeah, this is one of those things that we find, which is a problem when you're trying to move around or get around in Poland. Just to get to what actually we're supposed to discuss today, I have points just so that we don't deviate from it. We're already live, so guys can take part. If you just joined us, you can post your question either on the live chat or yeah. Alternatively, you can call one of us. I'm sure you guys have contacts to any of us and you can call and they can pose the question for you. But I'll try to pick up some of the questions or any suggestions that we can discuss about. But so I have few what I was planning for us to discuss today. As I mentioned, this is the first time I'm actually doing this, so please forgive me if I deviate from it every now and then. So the first point or the first question of what we're going to discuss today is, and we're going to go person by person. So we're going to give each person an opportunity to comment on it or say something about it. So so the first question was, how do you feel as part of the Black community? And what are your thoughts as to how the world as a whole is approaching / dealing with the COVID pandemic? So who will take this first? Maybe I'll start with Chris, then Esther.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like people are not taking it serious enough.
Yeah.
I feel like more people need to stay inside. I feel like people should stop looking at your brown skin and thinking you're a threat just because you're brown. I think that's like, makes no sense. Because in general, the majority of the threats are people who are not caring, and it's more of them than not. I'll just say it like that, you know? But everyone is in danger. So I feel like they should treat it that way instead of looking at, oh, you're Black or you look African or whatever, wherever you look like you're from. It doesn't matter. It's not really relevant. Mm-hmm. I feel that there should be a symbol of some sort that shows this is where we are. This is what you should be doing. I don't know who to talk to about that, or that there's no language barrier. You look at a stop sign anywhere in the world, you know it means stop.
Yeah.
You know? And if there was something as simple as a little face with a mask on it, opposed to all of these written words with people who have not so good handwriting, things like that, I feel like it would just be something universal for everyone to understand. If you see a head with a mask on it and a slash over it, it means you're free to not wear your mask. You know, simple things like that. You know, but I don't understand why. Recently, before they even put out the thing to where we had to wear masks in our area, people look at you like you have it because you have a mask on. I think that's the most silly thing in the world. But whatever. That's these are my thoughts. I went running, so someone take the mic. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll move over to you, Esther.
Yes, thank you
Yeah,
very much.
so yeah, so basically your thoughts on the whole thing, how the world is taking it, and you know, like basically just something around blacks, basically how we blacks ourselves, how we handling this thing, and at the same time, how is the world handling it in relation to us blacks,
Absolutely, absolutely.
or other Africans, basically.
Right. So I will start from the inside out.
Sure.
And then later perhaps I'll do the outside in, or perhaps I'll give someone else an opportunity to do that. I think it's very important what Chris mentioned. Allow me to call you Chris, please.
Sure.
When he talks about not taking it seriously. And I find that as a Black community, sensationalism is a thing with us. And so in the very beginning, I don't know where the hell this came from, but there was this, oh, because we're Black and we've got this melanin, so we can catch this thing. I'm like, who told you that? Like, where did you? And because we're so sensationalist, and it's easier for us to simply just listen to what is going on than to actually just look into it on ourselves, then we believe this. I actually saw, oh my God, what is this guy? Waka Flocka. He was on a radio station talking about minorities can catch this thing. I'm like, are you kidding me? You're a person with some power, and when you say something, people will listen. He didn't even bother to check. I mean, the science is very clear. Death does not discriminate. And if anything, as Black people, we might be even more prone to some of this stuff. Well, maybe Africans, because yes, we do have globalization right now. But some of the Africans, for example, in the villages are haven't gotten a chance to travel and so get into contact with the rest of the world and all these new kinds of bacteria and viruses. So if anything, they would be more prone to getting this than us or the Europeans. But if we don't read, if we don't study, if we don't focus on the facts, if we focus on sensationalism, then we lose. And it's nobody else's fault but our fault. I think it's something very, very important to talk about. I saw a post on Africans in Poland about a kind of a party in the academics in Lublin, an African party in Poland, in Lublin. And so things like this, when everybody else is on lockdown and you're still out there partying because you saw on the news that melanin is going to protect you from the virus, no, it's not. So I think it's very, very important that we focus on facts. We educate each other, we have these conversations. So that's all I will say for now.
Okay, great. So over to you, Alexandra or Lexi.
Okay, to add on to Esther's point, I personally work in China. So I saw this as early as the beginning of January and the impacts that it had on that community and the difference that how they took it. And they took it very seriously. I have several students that live in Wuhan. They were on lockdown. And when I say lockdown, I mean there's no going to the grocery store, as opposed to Poland or America, where in Poland, I'm arguing with my friends on a daily basis. No, you cannot take your kid for a walk. So social distancing, this is not how it works. Sit in your house or you're going to die. That's just it. As far as Black people getting it, my father's a physician in America. And that was one of my questions to him very early on. Dad, are Black people getting this or not? Because, and this was right around the time that the first person got sick in Nigeria, who was an Italian. And so I'm like, what is going to happen to my country? Because as Kule will tell you guys, the infrastructure in Nigeria really, in certain parts, it doesn't exist. It's not well developed. There's no running water. So my fear was, if this hits my community back home, what will happen? You know, this can wipe us out potentially, because it's just the community's not developed enough. But I think as Black people, yet again, we were not educated enough early on, like you said, as the sensationalism took over. And it left me wondering, me, a person who, I had close contact, I prepped my family, I bought masks, I knew what to do because of the type of job that I have. Whereas Americans were very unprepared. If you guys look at what's happening to the African-American communities now, in the state of Illinois, 13% of the state of Illinois is Black. 70% of the corona cases in the state of Illinois are Black, because I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that we don't have the resources. We are the people who have to go to work. We don't have the option of working from home. We have those essential jobs, even though we may be less paid for them. But because we are receiving less of that money, we don't have the luxury of buying groceries in bulk. So we are therefore we risk our lives more. Maybe a lot of the time due to uneducation. A lot of this plays a part. And what's worse with this disease is that I read an article today straight out of China, from a parent, one of my students in Wuhan again, was one of the original doctors on the scene. Yep. He was also one of the doctors who went to Italy. And his words to me were, Europeans, you people know how to mess up some shit. Excuse me, but that's just what he said. He said that the virus that he's looking under the microscope is not the same virus that he saw in Wuhan. That this virus has mutated. So he sent me an article that said Europe got a different mutated version of this virus that is affecting people differently. And so the measures that were taken in China, we're not taking them as seriously, and then therefore the effects are different. But in his opinion, and in the opinion of the article that was written, America got the same version that China got. And so if you see the numbers in America, they're staggering. 2 different versions. The quarantine in Europe seems to have affected this virus greatly. And as far as Poland is concerned, I must say that while I don't usually praise government efforts, locking down the country very early on risks our economy. It is going to destroy the economy of Poland. Like Esther, you mentioned you're a teacher at a private school. That's going to be impacted greatly. I know you're impacted. You know, it's not easy. And I think that the government took a step to keep us safe. But I think we, as the people who live in Poland, we just thought the government is just doing whatever. I don't know if you guys are up to date on the political situation in Poland, but it's not going very well. You know, the current political party there are a lot of people who have issues with that. And I think when that political party said, this is what we're doing, people said, we're not listening to you. And they continued. And this furthered the spread. And it made the whole situation worse. I think that around the 20th is what the virologists are saying. We're going to see whether the lockdown measures have worked. But I'm going to tell you, we live in a very secluded community filled with elderly people, and they're all moving business as usual. They're just moving business as usual. A couple of weeks ago, and this might be funny, I don't know, sorry if I'm long-winded, I wanted Chris to go to the store and take a video. And so I'm like, why didn't you take a video when you were there? And he's like, I couldn't. Oh man, you don't know what you're doing. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do it. And again, I speak fluent Polish, and in the store, I'm hearing comments of people saying they're gonna cough on me to give me the corona. Now, of course, I'm very open, so I said I'm gonna cough on you and give you the blackness, and they ran. But hey, you know, you gotta treat ignorance with ignorance. That's just what they understand. However, I too did not feel comfortable to take video in that store. So people were looking at me. People who see me, they see us all the time. We've been living in this area for 2 years. We go to this store. Now I have a mask on my face, not because I have anything, because again, I have protected myself long before this happened. But you're looking at me and I'm trying to protect me from you and you from me. I'm showing you the respect that if I have something, I don't want you to catch it. And I feel like they're not able to realize that this is what I'm doing. They didn't take it seriously. So I am very, once again, happy that masks are mandatory from the 16th on. I wish that it was a little bit sooner because this Easter holiday, there are a lot of people moving. There are a lot of people breaking the rules and still going to see their families, which I think at this point is just obnoxious. There's no other word for it. This is happening, but I do feel like for us, Black people in Poland at this time, it is the hardest time because it is like the holidays where we're normally alone, where we don't have our family. Now this is a prolonged period of time, and this is why I wanted to join the meeting, because I wanted to see what other Black people are feeling. If you guys are feeling a little more desolate than usual, you know, these are the times where depression sets in and things like that. And so it makes me very curious because, again, I'm kind of in both worlds. I am a Black Polish person who is more at home here than any of you. So I think that's all I got.
Okay.
Sorry, nice. It was so long.
No, actually, the point about the mask, it's even, I mean, it's good that actually now everyone is really into the masks, but it had some sort of stigma, you know. It's like you feel like if you wear it, it's like you're the only one. So it's like, you know, it's like you're trying to show off or you're trying to be so. And I also think that we are getting to a point whereby we'll not be looking at an Asian person and then we'll be like, why are they wearing masks? Because we knew that masks were for them, you know, and we didn't have a problem with it. It was like all the Asians, but they've all gone through all these crazy types of airborne diseases and all this, you know. So for them, it's like, what the key thing is always have a mask on. Is like, for them it's quite normal. For us, we have to adjust to it, you know. I even don't know if we'll get back to normal, you know. I'll go to a club and I'll have to have a mask on, so I'm just thinking maybe we'll just have to have like some sort of Louis Vuitton or Gucci sort of mask, because it's like we're getting there. It's like a mask is going to be mandatory, because to be honest, I personally don't see that this COVID thing, it's going to wear off with the summer, you know, because this is what people expected, like maybe during the hotter period it's going to wear off and we're going to forget about it. But I just think we're going to be more cautious. Maybe things are going to go back to normal. But then, you know, like we'll travel and all this, but we're going to have to do all this in a cautious way and like taking more precautions and all this, such that you always have to have a mask. The same way I said, like you go to a club, but you have a mask. So I'm guessing you'll have to sip your drink with a straw or something like that. But the point is that, so yeah, I mean, so it's quite a good thing that you mentioned about the mask, because I personally, from the word go, I had some sort of reservations wearing the mask, but then at the same time, it wasn't about the reservations, but it was about accessing these masks. You go to a pharmacy, ask them, do you have a mask? They're like, no, we don't. You ask them, do you have gloves? They say they don't. So you're like, where else should I get it? Because you're a pharmacy.
Allegro.
You see, but how will everyone—
For any of you looking, they're available on Allegro.
But like, it's like, you know, anyway, yeah, I know at least Allegro is where you can get it from, but you know, not everyone actually has this information, yeah? The pharmacy is the closest place to get such things. So
I have a question for you, Felix, because you have children. This is a question. When Chris and I, we were in South Korea many years ago, And they had the little bitty kid masks. And I remember telling him, like, what kind of a world is this? We were from America then. Yeah. Where do you have to put a mask on your kid? Like, so weird to me. Last weekend, I had to do this to my 5-year-old and my 7-year-old. And it was a pivotal moment in my life where, like you said, it's all going to go back to normal. This is the moment where I felt like, no, this is the new normal.
Exactly.
This is what I have to teach my
it.
children. And so my question for you is, as a father, how does that make you feel, having to put this mask on your child? And obviously my son after 2 minutes is like, Mom, this is itching, I don't want this, you know? So how do you handle that? How do you explain that to your child?
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, that's actually a difficult question. And I'm thinking we can actually save this for the next topic, because I'm going to, listen, I'm going to have I know it's okay. I'm going to organize another one where it's going to be actually about kids and all this. But anyway, just to answer your question, I haven't really thought about it. My kids actually in Abuja right now, so they've been indoors all through. They haven't left the apartment, and as you guys know, that currently now in Abuja there's total shutdown. I think it's even, yeah. So for them, it's actually no movement. It's not like here. For them, it's total shutdown. And you also mentioned about your worries about Nigeria, but then I was like, okay, if you worry about Nigeria, what about Kenya? At least you guys have experience. Nigeria had experience with some, like some airborne diseases like Ebola and all this. So somehow you guys know how to counter this, or rather how to manage such. But we don't. It's the first time. You talk of malaria, yeah, you go to a hospital, you use a mosquito net. But we had nothing that actually, we had to go to some sort of total shutdown. And I'm going to bring up this later on about how this is actually going to affect governments, especially governments back home in Africa. Yeah, so I'll leave it to Omoba, but I'll still answer your question about the kids. We'll see. I need to rethink it. I need to talk to the mom and ask her if she's thought of any ideas when it comes to the kids and the mask. But at least they know the reasons why they're back home. I have a kid who's 4. My daughter is 4 years old. My son is 7. And yeah, they all know why they're at home. And the other day, actually, my son was making fun of my daughter because my daughter asked me, Daddy, do you know why we are staying home? Then I was like, no, I don't know why you're staying home. And she was like, because of coronavirus. So she mixed. So I knew that she got it from the mom. And then my son was like making fun of the whole thing, because my son was like, no, you said it in Polish. It's not coronavirus, it's coronavirus. So yesterday, the same thing came up, and I asked my daughter, and she knew. She's very smart when it comes to remembering what. So she didn't want to make the same mistake. It's not a mistake. It's just that she did it in Polish. So I asked her, and she was like, yeah, because of coronavirus. So like, okay, looks like the brother really hit her on that. But yeah, so at least they know, the kids don't understand why they're at home, why they can't move. And I applaud schools, because my kids school in Abuja, but at least they were taught about the importance of washing hands, so, like using sanitizers and all that. So it's also important, if they're not taught in school, you make sure that you do that, especially as a parent, that they understand that they have to do it. So I think it's who? It's Tarafa?
Yeah, it's me. Okay, in my opinion, I think it's difficult for us, let me say, not just as Black people, but as foreigners, especially here in Poland, because every source of information is coming in Polish. I haven't come across, I just came across maybe 1 or 2 posters which has been going around, but the rest of the information, honestly, it's so difficult for us because we cannot understand any of the warnings. We have to go out, maybe source information from the university, because that's the only source of information we're getting. Otherwise, on the radio, there's nothing in English. So it's pretty difficult for us around to navigate. Yeah.
I think an advice to that would be like, now that at least you and Lexi, you know each other, and you know Chris, Yeah, the best advice would be like to go to some people who actually understand the language. I mean, I'm lucky because my wife would definitely let me know.
But I think I share enough for you to get it from my page. Come on.
Yeah.
But you did not share with me, my sister.
Don't worry, brother. I will add you. Then I will share with you. Don't worry.
Okay. Because actually, yeah, I'm sorry if I'm interjecting. I'm sorry if I'm interjecting. With due respect to everyone, I do want to like think in breaching protocols. Actually, the situation, nobody prepared for it. That's another point that we need to understand. It's pandemic and no one prepared for the situation. But we have to define a way, like my own point in Warsaw is a web everybody knows. And I will be so much glad to get advice or support for the likes of Pani, Alessandra, Felix, to give enough information that we can pass also across, to other locals. Because like I have opportunity of meeting migrants on daily basis. And if I have detailed information, I should be able to take it upon myself to pass it out accurately. That this is what you need to do from next week. This is what you need to do from next month. And that also can help us, to be able to understand what is going on around us. And I really appreciate this platform and this opportunity that we are having today. So we can use it to help others.
Yeah.
We are starting in 7. Maybe next time we are meeting, maybe we'll be 20. So it's a very good idea. Yeah. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, great. So I think who's remaining? Chris, you already said something about it. Yeah, I think you're the first. Katarzyna is like on and off, so she keeps on typing. So I think if Katarzyna, if you want to add something, it's okay. If no, I'll move on to the next question, or the point of discussion. Okay, so somebody is saying, Danny Mills, he says, or she says, I think it's a guy. I tried to. Okay, maybe read the question. Did you see the question from him? Sitting at home won't. I mean, like sitting at home will not. I think he tried to mean like it will not help us, or it will not save you, basically. Okay.
Sitting at home will not save you.
Here, I greatly disagree with him, because the more people you have contact with, the way that this thing works is that I can have it, I can not feel anything, and we're having contact, and I can give it to you, infect you. Now you have contact with 4 more people. You maybe don't feel anything yet, because again, the incubation period of this thing is questionable, somewhere between 7 and 24 days, guys. So you meet with 4 people every day, and you're spreading, and you're spreading, and you're spreading. And there are people who are super spreaders. They don't have any symptoms. They are normal, healthy people, but they're infecting, and they're infecting. And the thing is, there's no stopping it. The only way to stop it is to sit at home. So sitting at home is the only thing that we can do, because the world was not ready. No country, not even China, no one was ready for this thing. Now, I know there are people out there at home that are like, oh, well, China knew, China did it. That's neither here nor there at this point. At this point, the only thing that the whole world can do is sit at home, because there is nothing else to do. If we slow down the spread, we are buying time and allowing the appropriate medical resources to make it. In January, I tried to send a lot of masks to China. No, because my friends they needed masks. So about 4,000 zlotys worth of masks. The masks were picked up by UPC, by UPS. They went to Warsaw, sat in Warsaw for a period of a week and a half, and then they came back. When I was talking to the company, they could not locate the masks. I got off the phone with them. 10 minutes later, the masks showed up with the courier. No one could explain to me why the masks were not allowed to leave the country. No one. But the lady told me in Polish, like she kind of tried to, she said, just don't send them again. And that was in January, ever before Poland had its first case, when I myself thought that, there's no need to prepare. This will blow over. So somewhere in there, the government already knew it may be bad. But now, yesterday in Gdynia, there's the first drive-through testing center for COVID. So you don't have to get out of your car anymore. But look at the response time. These things take time. So sitting at home is the only thing we can do to buy them the time that they need to be able to save us. Like I told my husband, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get it. I have asthma, my son has asthma, we're out there meeting people. I'm okay with that. Majority of the people in the world will get this thing. But the key is when I get it, I hope that they're respirators. I hope that they've had the time to make up the deficiencies, because I used to be a nurse in my past life with the US Army. I went to war. I know what it's like to treat patients with nothing and to make nothing something to save someone's life. So sitting at home is giving that nurse the chance to be able to save you. Sitting at home is all we can do, and we must all do it.
Agreed.
Great point. Okay, so okay, that's
Sorry.
really good. I guess Danny got answered then. So anyone who wants to add something before I move to the next
Please do, so I'm not the only one talking.
Yes, of course. I can add something very, very quickly.
Sure.
I think Chris probably wanted to say something as well. I'm sorry about that. But when Alexandra talks about, sitting at home and just waiting for the medical professionals and all the scientists to do what they do best, it's the only thing to do right now. I was reading a little bit on how a few African countries are handling the situation. And like you mentioned earlier, Felix, some of the countries like Nigeria, Senegal, Ghana, in the West, some of the countries that have had trouble with viral diseases and infections before, they're more prepared than everybody else because they know what the deal is. So in the case of Senegal, for example, they've been working tirelessly now. And they're about to come up with a test that you can take at home by yourself. I think they're still working on it, but in 3 months it should be out. They say that it should cost about $1, and you can just buy it and do like a self-made test at home. And these people are really good. They're the same people that came up with the pee on a stick pregnancy test and things like that. So these are legit people. They've done this before. It's Senegal we're talking about. They handles the Ebola crisis like bosses. So yes, stay at home and let the professionals do what they do.
I think to add on that also, Kenya just, I think Cambridge is our medical research institute in Kenya. And I think recently they found a way of utilizing the tuberculosis testing kits to make it such that it actually can be able to test the COVID. So it's actually a good thing. I think it's like a week ago, something like that. So it looks promising, and at least now we can get to a point where we can actually do mass testing. So I think this is actually, it's going to go to a point where we'll be talking about how governments are actually approaching this. And yeah. So, Katarzyna is back. Kasia, nice to see you. Okay, so I'll move on to the next point. And so now this one is actually going to dig into us as Black people more. So basically, so we all know that we're actually experiencing some sort of racial discrimination, both directly and indirectly, especially during this COVID time. And I think our discussion will mostly revolve around this. There's one person who wanted to join, and let's see. Oh, brother, only. Okay, so we'll continue, and then I'll try respond to Tandoe. He was supposed to join us. Okay, so basically we've experienced some racial discrimination. So my question is, could you just mention a few and what you think about it and how you feel about it, especially, I'm just going to wrap it off as it is, yeah? So like the recent events in China, yeah? and this is like not long ago. We've seen leaders from everywhere, like, you know, Omoba directly knows some of them who actually, like, you know, like the consul, I think in the consul of Nigeria to China somehow was trying to, you know, like,
Mr. Lawal.
yeah. So there was a video actually online of him confronting them. So
Yeah,
Omoba will just comment on that. And we know that there's a number of blacks from different places, even, you know, like, that's why I was actually mentioning Chris, because he's from America, but for them it doesn't matter, so long as it's your skin. And, you know, it's, for me, it's so sad. So I'll start and then you guys will continue with it. So for me, it's actually so sad that it's so easy for us to be ID'd, you know. It's like they say foreigner, but my question is, does foreigner mean black? You know, it's it's like we cannot run away from this thing, you know. It's like, it's just, we're just labeled, you know. It's like foreigner. So we had cases of actually some pregnant lady. There was a sad story on one of our local television broadcasting channels, and, you know, there were some ladies from different places, and pregnant lady couldn't access, I think, hospital. They cannot access groceries. They're kicked out of their apartments. So yeah, so question is like, what's your thought on that? Because for me, it actually tears me down, you know, judging by the fact that, I mean, especially now I'm abroad, I'm living abroad. And also as a parent, for me, it's a big deal because, like, my kids are half and half. So I'm guessing they share the same genes as Lexi. So, so, you know, it's like half and half. So for me, it's like, my kids in Poland, for sure, they're always ID'd as black. You know, that will never change. And they accepted it. My kids know they're black because dad is black. So for them, they're okay with that. They kind of, you know, cross that particular river, or rather that bridge, and now they're okay with it. They're content with it. And now that they're actually in studying in Nigeria, rather in Abuja, it's good for me. I felt nice because then they get to interact with a lot of people from different places. You know, the Asian, Chinese, American, Europeans from different places, Africans from different places. So for them, it's like, it's good for them actually for growth, and they're getting more diverse. But anyway, the point is, for me, it's worrying if we actually get into a point whereby we're being kicked out of our homes just because of our color. It's really sad. And it doesn't matter if it's black or not, if it's white. If you're kicked out from a place because you're white, it's also wrong. We also had a case in Kenya whereby there was some Chinese, and some people actually, you know, just some crazy people who are actually roughing them up. Yeah, we saw this, and everyone actually stood up and like condemned everything, because we don't do it like that in our country. Yeah, we actually condemned it, and I think the police followed up on it, and it was very serious. And the guys, I think, who were because there were some tourists, yeah, who somehow were subjected to, you know, such abusive language, but we took action. Yeah, so I expect that the Chinese government should take action in such cases. Yeah. Now, to add on that is like, what do you think should be done moving forward? Yeah, in such a case. So basically, explain yourself, how you feel, and what you think should be done to handle such situation, to avoid such things from happening moving forward.
Yeah. To start, it's a situation whereby the Chinese authority made a lot of mistake, and they made the mistake to look more racial, and it looks more discriminating, because according to the Vienna Convention, no country can hold on to any other national country international passport more than 24 hours. Even if you make an arrest, you must return that passport to the nearest consular session or to the nearest embassy of that country. So what the Chinese authority did was this: they gave a 14 days lockdown, and after the 14 days lockdown, they are still locking down on the migrants. especially the color skin migrants in China that really affected a Nigerian community. As you know, that most of our Nigerian brothers are traders who always travel down to that part of the world to buy their goods. So when the incident happened, there are some stranded one amongst them who are dead. And those stranded one are the one that they suffered more. Because I remember at the peak of the crisis in Wuhan, we have a very big student community in China. And the student community came together under one umbrella, they make a contact. And though I'm not saying this to praise our local governments, but they responded positively to their plight by giving every student extra $500 that you don't need to come back to Nigeria now, stay back there, follow the instruction, but have this $500 with you to at least sustain yourself in buying your groceries. That was done, was carried out, through the embassy and the diaspora commission of which is like a agency under the federal government of Nigeria. But the incident that happened in Guangzhou it's not connected to the student community. It's connected to the migrants and the trader community who came to China to do business, and the incident happened to them and they have nowhere to go. And they became a victim of discrimination, victim of racial attack, and a victim of rejection. And when they make a contact with us, we make a contact back home, and our embassy have to send someone because we don't have our embassy in Guangzhou. So the consular, in person of the end of Sasha, Mr. Lawal, have to travel to Guangzhou. On getting there, on-spot assessment, he met the same situation, whereby there's a barricade in the hospital, pushing people out without attending to them. So I made mention this, just that this, what they are doing to our national is wrong. And this will take us to the fact that we Africa, especially the African Union, need to be on the top of this situation. Because if we are facing this kind of a discrimination from the supposedly the EPA of African Union, then it should call for concern that those who are really claiming that they are helping Africa, are they really helping us sincerely? Are they really giving us this help based on humanity, or they are giving this help to further press us down, or to further make sure that we could not even, become something in this part of the world? So, frankly speaking, the action of Mr. Lawal is commendable, but I think there are limits to what a country can do in order to confront all this ugly air that is tearing that we are facing all around. Because if we have an African Union that is strong, that is ready to stand for its citizen, they should be able to have a strong word or a strong position, during this pandemic situation, so that other country will not be able to follow suit if this thing go out of hand. Because as it is now, we are getting overwhelmed. They may not be telling us the truth, but we are getting overwhelmed by this pandemic situation. And we don't want a situation, but it will be turned around that some people will now be criminalized of the.
Okay, I think we're actually losing you, but I think we actually got your point. We have like 20 minutes to go. So guys, you just try, get in like 1 or 2 minutes, because there's one point that I want us to discuss at the end before we close. So next person, at least, I think we got Omoba and Esther. I think I'll share with you the link to the video. It's on one of the pages. We'll share with you the link. So maybe Esther, and then Lexi, Chris, and but on my screen is like it's Omoba, then it's Lexi, and then it's Esther and Chris, and I think Tarafa. What happened? Tafara, something happened.
Esther, I added some of the links for you.
Awesome.
Oh, from that. Oh, wonderful. Thank you for that. So very quickly, I'll just say that as Africans, this isn't new, guys. You know, it's unfortunately it's not new. We always pull out the short end of the stick in every situation. I mean, ever since Alexander the Great decided that he would take Egypt for himself, Africans just stood to the bottom of the barrel, and we've been there ever since. And so whatever crisis it is, it's definitely going to hit the most vulnerable, the most underprivileged, and unfortunately that happens to be us right now, and that has happened to be us for the last couple hundred years. So one thing I must say about this is we just need to unite. And unfortunately, I feel bad for even saying this, but because Africa is so diverse, you find that there are more differences within tribes than there are differences between us and other races.
Yeah.
Because of this, it's very difficult to come together under one goal and just create a sense of unity and belonging. And I think the best way to unite a people, and this is something that you can read from The Art of War, Sun Tzu, one of my favorite books, he says that a common enemy will unite anybody like nothing else. And when you look at our history, there's a clear common enemy that we all have. Everybody here knows exactly what I'm talking about. So I think if we all pooled our resources, if we all simply just sat down, learned our history, it's not rocket science to realize who is against us and why we're in this position in the first place. That, in my opinion, would bring us together like nobody's business. Then we can begin the real fight. That's all I have to say for now.
Okay, so Lexi, just to add up to you'll say, I mean, this point goes to you. At the same time, I want you to answer this. Do you think that this is actually a wake-up point? I mean, right, like basically is yeah, it's like it's a wake-up point for us as Africans. Do you think like the COVID is going to be a reason for us to open our eyes and maybe come together? Just, you know, adding to what Esther just said, do you think it's like we're now seeing the reality? We are like opening our eyes, because some of us were not there when during the colonialism or wherever, you know, we just read this through history. Yeah, we never really experienced this firsthand. So do you think it's a wake-up call?
I would love to say that I think so, but honestly, I don't. I think that it needs to be a turning point, but I don't think that it's going to be. At the end of the day, we've all fallen into this, I have to step on the next guy to get ahead. And because that still exists, and because our common enemy is still going to mandate us to behave that way, and it's very hard to think of the large populace affected, all of Africa. We all think of us. I don't know about you guys, but I think of me and my kids and my family and then my friends. And so because we have those immediate needs, I don't think that it's going to be brave. Like, I don't think we're going to branch out and it's going to be a turning point. And I would love it for it to be. I think the whole world needs COVID to be a turning point. But I think that if it's going to happen, change always happens in small doses. So I think that.
So do you think that the so-called common enemy knows that weakness when it comes to us, and they are taking advantage of it?
Definitely.
Yeah,
because we already know our question. We already know our weakness. So do you think that this common enemy knows, like, you know, it's like when I know you'll never beat me because I know your weakness. It's like I always know. It's like you're playing chess. You always know the next step that this part. So it's like I'm always ready. You know, I know how you make the first two moves. You'll start very well, and then when you get here, you'll be like distracted or, you know, something. So do you think that they know about it? Or maybe
they know. I think that they know, and I think that it's it's beneficial to them to exploit our weakness. I don't know if you guys read the article where two French doctors said, let's go test the COVID vaccine in Africa.
Yeah, it's
like,
actually, it's
what?
under the same, it's under the same.
And this is it. So they know, and they have no problem exploiting it. I do think that there are many more among them now that are more aware and more prepared for change and more willing to stand up for us and what is right.
We have
but
we have Kasha here.
It's still, I mean, it's not, it's just what it is. It's not to point anyone out. It's just what it is. Everyone wants to get ahead at any given cost. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, it doesn't matter. It's just like we spoke about China. And I told you guys earlier that I work in China. And I wear more makeup to work on a daily basis than I wore to my wedding. Why? Because the Chinese like beautiful teachers. It's bad enough I'm black. We are the lower teachers to be hired. They don't want us because we're black. I get a lot of bookings because a lot of my students don't believe I'm black. So if I paint my face and teacher's very beautiful, all of a sudden teacher's a better teacher. Not really. And that colorism, yes, it's crazy. And so I get invited to China all the time. I would never go. I love my students. Some of them are like my cousins, like the bonds that we form. But that country as a whole is so far, even behind Poland on the racism issue, that it's the country as a whole. Individuals are amazing. Some individuals don't see the color and they don't mind, and they're willing to stand up for us. But overall, it's still very little. Overall, it's not happening at a wide enough scale, and it's very disheartening to see what is happening to Africans. When I saw on your page yesterday, I saw a video, and on your page, Felix, and I sent it to my Chinese friend. I said, look, why is this happening? You keep inviting me and my black husband. My students call my husband my strong black husband. This is what they say. And they're young and they don't see anything wrong with it. And I'm like, hey, yes, he is a strong black man. And just so I have to act accordingly to let them see that we're just the same. A lot of times they love me and they'll say, oh, black people are terrible. And I'm like, wait a minute, you do know I'm black. So saying this, but they're bred that way. The gap there is China believes the best people are blonde hair, blue-eyed people. Okay, so what are we going back to here? You know, blonde hair, blue eyes. Those are their ideal people. They don't even think that they're beautiful or better than those blonde hair, blue eyed people, but they think they're better than us. So again, self-preservation, I'm gonna step on the lowest guy. That's always going to happen. It's up to us to stand up for ourselves. I hope to our brothers and sisters that are in China right now going through this, I pray for them. I hope that they get out of it. You know, I don't know what can happen because China is just its own little world. You have no control. You don't know what it's going to predict. You don't know what their government is going to do. Just like maybe the 80,000 COVID victims were sacrificed to get them further up. You know, they have a crab in the barrel mentality in China because they're all the same. And so they're natural to step on the next person. It's bred in them. Whereas in Poland, I don't know if you guys have experienced this, and I know this is a racism conversation, but most parents in Poland don't teach their children to do this. They teach their children largely to be good people. Maybe not be good people to black people, but overall to other white people, they teach them to be good people.
Yeah, I think actually it's you mentioned it, like, you know, it's like for them is like I'll just say it's like the blonde are the, you know, you said the blue eyes and the white is the best. And so they're not saying they're the best, but they know there's someone below them that they're better than, yeah? Now, this is the funny part, is like, why is it always the black person who has to suffer? Because I'll show you, it's like you said, the Chinese, the Indians do the same thing. The Arabs do the same thing. The black person is the last person to be given any sort of, so how is it like that? Why should it be like that? It's like, why should the black, you know, it's like the graph is the white man, black is not okay. The Chinese, black is not okay. It's like the arrow goes like this. There's no even like sort of.
And then you come to Nigeria and we treat the white people like kings and queens because, oh, it's a white person. I don't know how it is in your African countries.
No,
But in Nigeria, it's like that.
It's the same.
It's exactly the same.
It's exactly the same. Exactly the same way. I'll give Kasha an opportunity to say something on it. Like, what's your opinion, or rather, what's your take on it? Like, how do you feel? Like, what do you think the world should do?
I don't know if I have so much to say about the world, what it should do, but I am. First of all, I think that the situation is hard and it's gonna be harder, but at the same time, on the contrary to Alexandra, I have hope that the situation of COVID will change ways in which the world functions, because of the COVID situation, I think we already can see that many ways in which the world used to function, and I mean the way in which politics are structured, where on the top there is the white man who decides, the white rich man, yes, who decide. I think because now we are starting to see that these ways no longer function, and that this, even in Poland, of course, it's obvious. We can see that our politicians simply don't manage to cope with the situation. And without the help of ordinary people, our hospitals wouldn't be able to manage at all, because so many ordinary people are helping, making masks, are collecting money for the equipment and so on. And I think that without working together and creating a more democratical way to function, we won't be able to survive this situation. And also in this COVID time, we see that this is also a very democratical virus, yes? It's not that it only hits some people and some not. So if we only help the chosen ones and we don't help the others, also we won't be able to survive the situation, right? To deal with the situation. So even if we close the borders to, I don't know, Poland, Germany, European Union, and we don't do anything about the rest of the world, this also in the end won't solve the problem, right? So I think in a way it's hard time. It's gonna be even harder. I mean, many people will suffer, but I hope that because of this hard time, some things will change, because too many people in so many ways, I don't know, it's hard for me to grasp it right now in one sentence, but yeah, it won't work the old ways anymore. The world won't work in these old ways. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So it's okay. I think we kind of got you there. So yeah. So it's Chris. It's up to you, and then Safara will say something. I just I made an edit. So we have like 30 more minutes. I gave it like, I pushed it for like 1 hour so we can discuss and get out at least all the points, unless someone wanted to go somewhere. We started slightly late.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I think for all this to work out well, we just have to work together as a whole. Because even though, as Esther once mentioned, that there's a lot of differences amongst ourselves than what other people see, because we've got many tribes. And then it's funny enough that even in a country, right, you would find that there's more than 35 spoken languages. So sometimes it's difficult to have people to come to agree to one thing. But when it comes to having the same goal, as in like, if we are all fighting against something, that definitely brings people closer together, because now we are no longer focusing on our differences, but we're now focusing on something that we are trying to get rid of. So in that way, I think just unity as a people helps us get to further places than just looking at ourselves differently.
Okay, you mentioned unity, but I think I'll drag you back a bit. Maybe the next person, the right person to answer this will be who? I don't know if Chris will actually. Chris, have you had like crazy experiences with Africa itself? Like basically,
I had crazy experiences with what?
not really crazy, but like direct experiences with Africa. Have you believed in Africa itself?
Sounds like you're asking me.
No, because this question is basically, I just wanted to ask because I'm basically born and raised from Kenya, so I can answer this. But like, do you think also we are the ones who actually make the world itself look down upon us? Because we have this thing of like, when you see a white person or not even a white person, but like a rich person, you know, like a politician, you tend to literally say, we have a slang in my country that means folding your tail.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yes, it's like
Got it in my country too.
So it's like basically when you, it's like we are always bowing down to someone who somehow a person who seems to be bigger than us in a sense. So so imagine I'm bowing down to a politician. It means any other person who's like we even have this mentality that a white person means a rich person. You know, not only recently we believe like you'd find like a white person in Kenya on the street, but like growing up, it was like a white person means a rich person, means money. So it's like, even though this thing, I'm sure Kasha has been in Tanzania, and she would tell you there's this thing called Mzungu. Mzungu means white person. It has no hidden meaning.
I have been in Kenya too.
Yeah. Yeah, so it doesn't have any hidden meaning with it. It's like, it's just Mzungu. It's like you see a white person, it's called Mzungu, and you follow Mzungu, some street boys or street kids will be like, Mzungu, pesa, pesa. Pesa means money, yeah? So it's like you see a white person, you associate a white person with money. And to a point that actually a white person walking on the streets of Nairobi is much safer than a black person walking on the streets of Nairobi. Trust me. Because, you know, like if I protect this white person, he or she, will tip me. So why should I attack? So yeah. So anyway, the point is like, I think also we kind of put ourselves down. Yeah. So in a way, we kind of encourage such things to happen. Chris and Lexi come from a different background, you know. It's like my kids, they definitely now grew up in a different background. So definitely maybe they wouldn't experience this. They know how to fight such things, but maybe we don't.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I think it's very interesting what you say, and the fact that you talk about that the Tillmans are, you know, American and we're Africans. We actually have our stories are actually more common than you'd think, because when you talk about us sometimes maybe letting other people step on our toes, it all goes back to this disease that I love to call white supremacy. And everybody suffers from it. It does not discriminate. And so it basically has to do with how whiteness has been centered in our society. And so the closer, and when I talk about whiteness, I'm talking about the idea of whiteness that comes with a certain set of privileges and power in the world that we live in. And so the closer you are to this whiteness, the more privilege you get. And that's basically it. And like Alexandra was talking about before, you know, we're simply just humans. Everyone wants to have a good life. Everyone wants to take care of their family. Everyone wants to survive. It's a human thing. There's nothing we can do about that. Chinese wants to survive. I want to survive. Europeans want to survive. So it basically all comes down to who has the power and how they control it and spread it out to the rest of the world. So at this particular point, it happens to be whiteness, and the rest of us have to follow suit. So when it comes to Africans behaving the way we behave, for white supremacy to work, someone has to believe that they're superior, and someone has to believe that they're inferior. And it's the only way that's going to work. And unless we work on dismantling these ideas, then it's not going to change. So as Africans, when we, like you said, what was that with the tail? Fold our tail?
Yeah, it's like we fold our tail. I mean, it's like, yeah.
Exactly. After years of being in an underprivileged position, we've learned to be inferior because society has taught us that that's what we are. And society has taught these Europeans that they're superior. And so the Asians, they recognize or they identify themselves more as European than African. And so they're going to do the same thing that the Europeans are doing. So white supremacy is a disease. We live in a society where whiteness is at the center of everything, and unless we dismantle these ideas, then nothing's going to change. So especially us as Africans, we need to be kind to ourselves when we talk about some of these conversations, because most of us are also carrying a whole load of trauma. So when we criticize ourselves, when we discuss ways in which we can change it, it's very important to look at the psychological issues. Why do we do what we do? It's very, very important that we're kind to each other because we're already oppressed. It does not make sense to keep oppressing ourselves even more. Gaining a sense of understanding, I think, is the best way to do it. So it doesn't really matter if you're African American, if you're from the Caribbean, if you're African, Black is Black. And we have common issues despite the fact that our geography is different, despite the fact that we have cultural differences, religious differences. That lived experience of Black is the same all over the place. And if we understand that, these are some of the laws that Marcus Garvey was trying to teach us. If we understand that, then maybe there's hope, just maybe.
Okay, I think I'll answer Danny. Danny, it was a figure of speech because of the conversation. It doesn't mean that I meant we as African, we demean ourselves. So point of correction, I'm actually a proud person myself. So don't think I was where I was because I know the world, yeah. I'm just trying to get a conversation. And this is actually, it is the truth because I've seen it firsthand. I've seen people, I've even encouraged people not to do this because it happens, yeah. Okay, so Chris, to you, because I mean, we know like America, or rather in the States, you guys have at least you're that vocal when it comes to such things as like discrimination and all this. So yeah, so what's your take on the whole discussion, especially when it comes to that?
When it comes down to discrimination, I feel like a lot of things can be stopped when you stop accepting it and stop reacting in a not so controlled way. Like all of the people in the room are educated, but if someone pushes the right button, you all of a sudden forgot everything that you've learned, you know? Mm-hmm. And I feel that if people react differently to the ignorance, then the person that is ignorant, whoever it may be, they will begin thinking and they'll begin to change the dialogue, you know, as far as what they say amongst each other about others. And this is not about Black, white, Nigerian, mm-hmm. Kenyan, from Zimbabwe, whatever. It's not about any of that. It's about the fact that you change the way that others think about you. So if you begin to, like, just one thing before, I know you want to say something because all of you have different backgrounds. I am not from Africa. I was in the grocery store and a man saw me buying a lot of water. We buy a lot of water because we drink a lot of water because it's a necessity. So the guy says, "Are you sending all of this water back to Africa?"
That's a pain. I felt it.
I'm not from Africa. My wife is Nigerian, but my reaction, I feel, changed his demeanor completely. Because I don't know if you've watched any YouTube, TV, been to America, you know the way that react to things this way. It would be punching, shooting, beating your car, things of that nature, right? I said nothing, and to let him know it's not funny. I'm not saying that this was the best reaction, but his reaction made me happy. Because he understood immediately that I did not think it was funny. He doesn't even know where I'm from, but he understood that immediately that it's not funny. I'm not going to sit and joke with you about it. I know that there are probably some people that I have in my friends list, period, in my phone that I see that would take this offensively. So if I react wrong, you're going to think that you can continue to do this.
Yeah.
And you're going to continue to sit in your living room and talk about this and think that it's funny. If you change what people think is entertaining or makes another person feel so that they feel like they're on the bottom, they lose things to say or to do to make you feel that way, you know? And I feel that that's what we all need to do. Stop making it acceptable to downgrade who you are. It's okay to be friends with people who are ignorant and to inform them, but I don't feel like it's okay to have ignorant friends and not tell them anything.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's one way of actually educating them, because not all of them, like I think someone mentioned about the kids. Yeah, I mean the story with the Asian lady and the kids, you know, like throwing objects at her. I think in a way it comes down also to the parents themselves and the people they interact with. So if we can actually interact with such people and kind of educate them to see the world in a different way, I think that is really going to be helpful, at least for the future. And the person himself will definitely know that, you know, whatever I'm doing is not right. At least this is not the right way of doing it. And I think Danny somehow is a bit bitter, and I think he's had some not good experience. Like he says that the wife actually calls him a black monkey, which is really sad. I mean, your own wife, so it's sad. So
the one thing that, if I may interject, is that in the first grade in Poland, we learned a poem. This poem is called Murzynek Bambo.
No, my wife is furious about that.
Yes. See, now imagine I'm sitting in the first grade and I'm learning this poem, and I'm a black person who's never, at that point, I had never seen a black person. At that point, my father's pictures were the only black person I had seen. This is years and years ago. This is 1990. Now, my father became a physician in Gdańsk. My father says this poem and laughs about it. And this past, because you guys have to understand that we as black people, and like I told him, you have okayed this because he, during his era, there were so few black people that they had to make it. They had to laugh about it. And my father, like I told him, you made this okay because you were a guest in Poland. I refuse to make it okay because I am not a guest here. So I feel like this poem is racist. It shouldn't exist. But I bring it up for this reason. Everyone in my generation, I'm 36, learned this poem. So they cannot see anything wrong with being racist because they were taught in school that this poem and other things like it were okay. My Polish best friend, when we arrived in Poland, she was like, there's no racism here. Fast forward, when I explained to her some of the instances, she was like, oh, wherever you go, you see racism. Well, my son was on the cover of, she thought it was a me thing. And we talked about it even today when I was explaining to her that this meeting was happening. And my son was on the cover of the last newspaper of last year for the Tri-City. He won a competition. When they went for the celebration for the winners, I couldn't go, my husband went. It was televised and it was live streamed on Facebook. I was sick. My best friend had to rally up our other Polish friends to attack and combat the racist remarks that were being said about my son, who again is Polish, has a Polish passport. He's just a colorful Polish person. The people felt that he was taking something away from the white kids. And like going back to my conversation with my dad, you guys okayed it for so long and you made it harder for us. You did what, again, going back to self-preservation. My dad, finally, we had a very heated conversation. Chris, you were in a taxi. My dad's not a heated guy. And he was like, oh my God, I see your point. But we didn't know we did this. We did what we had to do to survive in this land. So this further solidified the okay for racism. And it's very, in Poland, I like to say that the only people who believe that racism doesn't exist in Poland are the people who themselves are not racist. They don't have contact with Black people and they're not racist. So they can understand. And there is a lot of them. There is a lot of them now. They're not racist. They're okay with Black people, but they don't realize they don't have a lot of contact. And I feel that this falls on us as the Black people who are in these situations. Like I tell my son and my husband, how you act says everything about your whole race. So my little 3-year-old son, when he came to Poland and he went to the daycare here, and he was the first Black kid in this daycare, I told him, how you behave is what they will think of all of us. So it is imperative that we behave in ways that are not like Chris mentioned, beating you up for this comment. Now, the one thing that my husband didn't make it to say is that when this occurred, his silence generated an apology from that man.
Yes.
That's the one thing that I was waiting for you to make it to. It generated an apology, which further goes to us. We understand that racism exists. We understand that Poland, the majority of Polish people, they're not racist. Looking at you, because I've been looked at my whole life in Poland, when I actually came back, it was like, why are they looking at me? Do I have something on my face? I was like, oh crap, I'm in Poland. But after 25 years of living in America, I stopped being used to people looking at me. Now we're back at it. Now I tell the little kids in Poland, it's okay to look, but you must remember we're all red on the inside. What you guys don't know about us is that the Tillmans are a transracial family. We have an adopted white daughter.
Oh.
We adopted her in Texas. And so she attends Polish school. When Chris was taking her to school, the kids were saying stuff to her. And she didn't know how to react. And so I had to teach her, and I had to teach the teacher. And we had to, we as Black people, we wanted to change. We must be the teachers, because not all of them want to be racist, but some of these young kids are not being taught by their parents because their parents were taught by the school system that this is okay. So when you experience racism, don't automatically assume that they're trying to hurt you. Some of them, it's just for lack of knowledge. Yep. You have to explain that this is not okay for this reason. This is how it makes me feel. And for us, it might be so obvious, but for them, it really is not. And I learned this through my Polish best friend, because she's like, look, I have to defend this kid. And our sons are best friends. We're, our families are very close knit. And she was in shock because she realized that what I'd been saying all along is the truth. And today she told me, she's like, I don't understand how this can be happening still, because she herself is not racist, but she also doesn't have contact. So in our first week of being in Poland, we were in the zoo in Krakow, big multicultural city. Some lady walks up to us and she wanted our kid to take a picture with her daughter as a souvenir. This happened to me a lot in my childhood. Now, I, as a mother, reacted opposite of what my mother reacted as, and we explained to her, he's not a monkey. You want a monkey? There's one right here in this cage. But it's just to say we saw a Black person. Maybe sometimes we are so ready to see the racism that when it happens, we're not able to see that it's not racism, it's ignorance.
Yeah,
and ignorance can be corrected through teaching.
Yep, I mean, I actually agree with you. And some of them just don't know. And it's like when you're walking and there's a kid who's really excited, actually drags the mom. mommy, see, I usually just laugh and say hi, like I say gender, we're like, okay, the person also speaks Polish. It's like, so for them, it's actually, I actually take it as a positive thing, so long as it doesn't have any, someone doesn't attack you or do anything wrong. I remember my son was, because he was in the Polish kindergarten, and it was during summer. And, of course, during summer is like people are going for, sunbathing, all that. And one of the kids said a comment to my son, which really affected my son. It was like, for you, you will not turn, you've already turned. And my son was like really bothered with it, that my son came home and he had some identity crisis. It was a big deal. Good thing is like the teachers actually understood, and the kid did not do it like intentionally. It was like he just said like, you've done, so there's no need of you going. So my son was like, okay, so if my friends are actually going for the summers to turn, what about me? Because I'm also thinking of going and doing the same. Kids, they want to, so I went to this. And the teachers actually took an initiative and like explained to all the kids, like the world as a whole, like from Africa, from all these places, people don't, we do tan, yes. I might be as black as what, but I still tan. It's just that you don't see it the same way you'd see it from some other person, So it's the same exact thing. Okay, so let's see. Okay, Danny says Poland is not racist, actually. So he has a point. I mean, we didn't say it's actually racist. It's just that some people don't understand these things. Some of them are just excited. And I was actually talking to someone yesterday, and I think it was Esther. And I said, it's only in Poland that a Polish person wants to say something and first they're warning you. Like, I'm not racist. It's like, it's only in Poland someone has to tell you, like, I'm not racist, and then ask you a question, because it's like, they feel every question that they would ask is racist. It's like someone is curious to know, how is it in Africa? Is it like here? Do you have houses like this? Do you have roads? All these have been reflected in a different way. But before the person asks you, the person will be like, I'm not racist, but I wanted to ask you this. I'm like, just ask, go on. I don't have a problem with it, because some people don't understand, like, in Africa, it's the same as here. The same iPhone you get here, the same iPhone you get back home. There are roads, of course, the rate of development is slightly different, but there are places you go to, it's even far beautiful than being in other places here in, like in Poland, Europe, Germany. It's the same way like here and London. I cannot live in UK. Sorry to say that. I prefer Poland way better than UK. It's too congested for me. This is how I feel. It's like the roads are wider here. So it's just a matter of preference, and you have to get there to actually understand. But if you were talking about UK to me way back, I'll be like, definitely pick UK from Poland. But now I've been here. It's all about, you have to be there to actually understand this thing. If everyone has, I think I'll move to the next point. We've exhausted this one, I must say. Okay, so this one goes to, I have two questions. Maybe combine all of them and then we finish this, depending on how long you guys have. Yeah, everyone has the right to say how long you have to be on the call. I extended the meeting for like an hour, but we can just combine this and then guys can get back to their business and we can organize another call on a different subject.
Okay, we may be left with 8 minutes. I've extended my time with.
Okay, great. So what I'll
1700. Yeah.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'm going to combine two questions, or I'll just jump to the last question. So one of the questions was like, do we think our governments are doing enough to help such a situation? Maybe guys on the chat might discuss on this. We can, we can let this keep and then leave it for discussion. Yeah. But the question that I wanted to ask was, and I think Lexi started off with this somehow in one way or the other. Has social distancing affected the way Black communities interact, especially those in diaspora? And in diaspora, because we are all from Poland, I guess, so we can speak about in Poland. And if so, then what can we do to ensure the community doesn't fall apart? So I'm guessing I'll just start with that part. Like, this forum is one of those ways that will make the community not to fall apart. And for me, has it been affected? Yes, definitely it has been affected. I believe everyone think the same, but I'll leave it to you guys to, to say a word or two on it, and then maybe we can drop the call in like 7 minutes. Is that okay? So I guess 1 minute each person say something, yeah? So I'll start over with Omoba. I don't know if you're still, Omoba, are you still, Omoba, are you busy? Okay, anyway, something happened. No.
I don't know if you guys saw in the chat what Kasha said. Oh, where is it? She says that the thing about people wanting to take a photo with me happens a lot in Asia and Africa too. It's probably a common experience when you just look different. Exactly. To her point, it did happen to me in Nigeria. Like you were saying, there's a name in your country for white people. We have one in Nigeria too. When I was a kid, the kids would run after me and call me Oyibo. And it hurt me. To her point though, just because it happened in Africa towards me being white doesn't mean it made me feel any different than it does when it happens in Poland.
Yeah.
We were focusing on the racial situation in Poland at the moment, but in Africa it's exactly the same for me. I don't know. You guys probably don't go through that, but
yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
For you, I think it's mixed kids. They have some sort of identity issue. I'm using my son as my kids as one of these, because we actually had to make my kids understand, like, if you go to Africa, someone will ID you as white, and it's not wrong. It's because you're white, because your mom is actually white. You have those genes, yeah. In my country, Esther will attest to this. Like, if you're that let's say light skinned, yeah, be it you're Kenyan and you're light skinned, people refer to you as Mzungu, because it's like you're actually moving closer to be, it's like, it's just a way of saying that you're different from us, in a way that you're too brown, or you're too, you're either too white or something like that. I went to, in Nigeria, at the supermarket at, I forgot the name, ShopRite. There were ladies, little ladies, and they were taking photos, and they saw my kid, and they came to ask us, can we take photos with them? It's the same thing you said, like, can we take photos?
How did it make you feel as a parent?
So I didn't have like that reaction immediately of like, really? So I was like, okay, just, I know why they wanted to take photos, and I was like, okay, just take a photo. It's fine. Yeah, because, it's like, they saw someone, it's like you see a celebrity and you want to take a photo.
The problem is that I don't think, see, now when it happens to me for me, not my child, not as the mother, but as an individual, I'm okay with that. I tell my husband all the time, oh, they're looking at you. If you were famous, they'd look at you anyway. But when you were a child, you don't get that. And so maybe because I was a child who grew up in what you guys are complaining about is a whole lot better than what it was previously. And I was a child who grew up in that. So yeah, I might be a little bit more sensitive than the average person, but Poland made me this way. I mean, I'm sorry, it is what it is. And it's also that them making, in America, we don't feel nothing. In America, I walk around like anybody. I don't feel anything. I'm not different. My husband wasn't sure what my ethnicity was when we decided. He thought I was a regular Black person. My commander in the army, when my white mother showed up, was in the biggest shock I've ever seen anyone in, because my mother is like 5 feet, very dainty, very white. And I'm like, we're so different. And so I think that, again, it goes back to education. You educate, like I did with the lady in the Krakow Zoo. I educated her on why what she was doing was not okay. Not particularly for my son, but for the Black race as a whole and curiosity. It's different if our children had played together and she wanted a photo as a souvenir of the play date. No problem. But this was not the situation. This is, I see a person, I see a celebrity walking down, I want a picture. But the thing is, this is a 4-year-old child. He's not a celebrity. He's trying to live his life. And in your children's situation, they will have to find their, that's the problem with being multicultural and growing up in both places. It makes it very difficult for you to find out who you are and what you feel like. I have a friend whose mother is Russian. Father is from Nigeria. She feels that she is a white person. She doesn't feel Black the way I do. Mixed kids, we get a choice. And I feel that we are allowed to choose whichever way it works best for us.
Yeah, I think with mine is like, I mean, ask yourself why they in Abuja. It was precaution. I wanted them to understand the world is made from different places. My son was born in Kenya, but he never lived there to a point where he would understand anything. So when they got to an age that we found that it's easier to actually go to Abuja, Nigeria, so it was like, yeah, it's actually nice for them to understand, you know, build this sense of like, it's a defense in a way, you know, it's like, we're just trying to find where they will be attacked more and avoid that place so that they go landing the other side and come back. Anyway, it's a difficult topic, and it's actually my topic for the next time. You know, like raising mixed kids, or basically raising kids away from home. So yeah.
I think that's an amazing topic. I think that there are a lot of, and I know a bunch of them, moms who are Polish and they have mixed kids like me, and they're different. Some moms feel like there's no racism in Poland. Some feel like their children should just be okay with it. It's a very good topic for these types of discussions if you want to continue them.
Yeah, it's I'm going to actually have that. So that's my next topic, and I will be, you know, like I hope that a lot of people, especially parents and just guys who've had experiences with this, because you might have an experience with, you know, with mixed kids or relationship based on either you're teaching them, or, you know, it's your nephew, niece, or whatever. So yeah, or you have a friend who actually is a mixed kid and you understand the challenges that they go through. So yeah, so so the last question, it's basically we're just saying, we're just talking about social distancing and how it has affected us as a community. I think Tafara wanted to step off. So just, yeah, say, what do you think about it? Like, you think that this social distancing thing, has it affected the Black community, especially in the diaspora? I mean,
yeah.
has it affected you personally?
Personally, it has, because, you know, I haven't been used to staying at home 24 hours a day. I usually spend maybe 4, 5, 6 hours at home, because sometimes I'm at school, and then if I'm not at school, I'm at work. So the interactions that I had with my friends, who I used to just go out to see, to just have a good time with, is no longer there at the moment. So for me, it's kind of, I'm no longer really having that feeling of having family around, because the people that I really care about are far away. And the only way that I can communicate with them is just through the phone, which is sometimes not really convenient for communication if you're used to just staying with those people, right? So yeah, it's really affecting me at the moment, and it's not the best thing ever.
Okay, let's hope that this thing wears out very fast, yeah? Chris, a word from you. What do you think? Has it affected you, or at least you're substituting that to family? But we need to interact anyway, yeah, other than just family.
So,
right?
honestly, the same amount of people I talk to on a daily would be the same people I would put more effort into seeing if I were around them.
Yeah.
Which is not a lot, right? But
yeah.
The problem, I feel like it's a good thing that this is happening, because it is beginning to make people understand that there are other important things to worry about. And you begin to think, man, I may not ever see my grandmother, mother, cousin,
yeah, exactly.
neighbor. even just your neighbor. You know how many times you probably don't even know what your neighbor is? You know? It's the truth.
Exactly, yeah.
But it makes you think, I wonder how they're doing. Let me send them a message.
Yeah.
And it's bringing us back from the just living off of, I'll see you at the club on Friday, or I'll see you at work, or whatever. I'll see you at the grocery store on Wednesday. You know, we go every whatever, you know, like people do this. Or I'll see you at the post office. However you meet your people, right? It changes everything, because now you have to be direct.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no, I'm just gonna check your Facebook and see if you were active in the past 3 hours, you know? And then go on with your life. It's now like, let me contact this person and make sure they're actually living, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Some people are probably getting scared because someone doesn't make a Facebook post in the past day, whatever. Hey, what's going on? I haven't seen a picture of your family anywhere. What are you doing? You know,
Are you
like,
okay?
but it changes people from thinking about the leisure things to what's important, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I feel is happening right now.
Okay.
And as far as me and the people around me, I still talk to the same people. It's not that many people that you can relate to, that you feel that you're so connected to them that you have to talk to them, you know? You know, you have those people that you, like Tafara probably goes out and he knows these certain people he sees at a bar or he sees at a restaurant every week, or he drives past the same corner and he sees the same people on the corner doing nothing, whatever. Yeah. And you speak to them, you know, so they're recognizable, but they're not very important to you. You just know they're there, you know? Yeah, true. It changes the level of importance of people in your life. That's what I feel is happening right now. And like me, I called my dad for the first time in like a very long time.
Sorry, I
we have an interesting relationship, you know, like it was almost non-existent for a very long time, right? So it's like these things, it changes the way you think.
Yeah.
Literally, if COVID-19 wouldn't have never came, I wouldn't have thought, let me see if he's okay.
Yeah,
I'm being very serious and open, you know? There are still some people I want to call, but I'm like, the conversations, because certain people are, I mean, I'm not sure how all of you think, but are you used to having real conversations, or are you used to only saying, what are you doing? I'm eating.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, talk to you later. You know, like literally Facebook, social media, period, has changed the way that people think, and they don't know how to have regular conversations, you know, like regular conversations. Like, Tafara, hey, how you been, man? How many customers did you have today? Whatever, you know, like you don't ask regular questions, you know, like this dialogue is great. This is like the start, I feel. But it's very funny, like I'm in school too. And one of the classes breaks down things and it talks about communications, right? And all of the different types of barriers of communications. Some of the barriers of communication is just too much technology. And the only thing that we know how to do is check a status or make a status to say what we're thinking instead of something as simple as this, you know, like what we're doing right now. If you told someone, hey, meet me in this room, they're gonna be like, that's weird. No. Like you probably shared this to I don't know how many people, but they're like, I will think about it. And until they see you on live, they don't want to even check in. Or they probably checked in your room and didn't say anything.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a one-way communication, and it's but at least on this side, it's like now we
Not to
actually
bring you down. Not to bring you down. This is good. Keep going.
So it's actually okay. I mean, this is one way of actually us connecting, you know, like get to talk. Maybe next time more people are gonna jump on this, or alternatively, based on how it is now, I might, you know, involve more, because I limited the number to like 10, just so that we don't have like crazy number. But maybe it makes sense to actually bring everyone on board, but it's going to be hard to, you know, to manage all these discussions. We'll see how it goes.
One thing, sorry.
I think
Something simple to do is when the numbers become too big, I'm not saying if, because I believe that this will make people talk more. When the numbers become too much, go to a website that hosts live videos to where it's, in general, it's us looking at you in your gamer headphones and you're talking directly to us, or you're reading whatever's on the screen, whatever it may be. It may get to a point of you need a whole full production, you know? But this is a good thing because the need is there.
Yeah, I mean, like currently now I can actually, that's why I said like actually put some resources in it, but I can host up to 10,000 people on this particular call. 100 of them can take part, you know, simultaneously. The rest can just listen in. So yeah, so we'll see how it goes, and definitely
I think the amount of time that we have where we know that this meeting is happening is imperative in your how many people show up, because if you gave me a week and a half notice, I would have had more than 3 people.
Yes,
but
yes.
I randomly scrolled on Facebook, saw it, and I'm like, oh, Tafara, you want to join? Hey, Chris, you know. But if you'd given me a wider window, I would have brought you more
We live
people.
together. You didn't have to contact me on the internet.
Okay, all right. Point. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
There are more people. There are more Africans in Poland. Like, people are always asking me. I'm just not like a social person, but people are always asking me to create these types of events because they want to talk. Like Tafara and I met. A video about me was, like I said, was released, and that's how we met. But I think that if you extend the reach, and maybe if you take it off of Facebook Live and just paste the link to the video where it can be shared, because like I tried in the middle of this, I'm not able to share this to my page, where there are a lot of Africans in Poland that would have benefited from watching our discussion, and it would have helped them kill some of their boredom. So I think that's something that you should look into, how to make it shareable.
So actually, this is it's being recorded. So I think of
YouTube.
You guys.
There's an option though. YouTube, you know, Africans in Poland YouTube. There's an option. This is a new.
So actually, I can stream this live on YouTube. I can stream it on Facebook. We're just having some issues, so I actually had to use a different way of streaming this. But yeah, we can actually have it such that, as I said, I can host up to like 10,000 people on this particular platform as it is. But of course, if you want to extend the reach, you will definitely need to use the, you know, like the social media pages like Facebook or YouTube. Or so I think YouTube might be one. We could actually, you know, just share a link from YouTube and guys can follow in. And also,
one to you.
Yeah, also if I had shared it on my page, I would definitely be able to share it. Yeah, but I didn't. I wanted to take advantage of you know, the all Africans in Poland page. But I'll see if I'll actually be able to share this on my page, and you guys can maybe share it, you know, and people can discuss on it. And maybe we can comment on the same, as, you know, I have a way of making it go live, though it's already done, and guys can just comment on it. So yeah, so basically, thanks guys for joining. But I think one person was Esther did not contribute onto this social distancing thing. So it's only fair if she contributes to this, and then
right.
Yeah, we can say our goodbyes.
Of course, yes. That will be very quick, less than a minute, hopefully. Like I mentioned when we started, I'm a bit of an introvert. Okay, maybe a little bit more of an introvert. And so, I mean, my Facebook is 6 months old. I just opened an Instagram like a week ago. And so my circle is very small. Like Christopher was saying, I prefer real conversations, and I don't really have acquaintances. I have friends, and that's a very small circle. So if I want to talk, I just pick up the phone and we spend a good 30 minutes. I know how you are, I know your life. Okay, good. Until the next time we need to talk again. And so the social distancing has actually forced me to get out onto the internet and see what is happening over there. And so I have
Welcome.
a little bit more contact. I'm connecting more with people on the internet now. It's a very weird place to be. I feel very exposed. But yeah, so far so good. So I'm having like a bit of a reverse kind of experience than everybody else. But I welcome the experience definitely.
Okay, great. So yeah, so anyway, so guys, I will try come up with something. Hopefully maybe Lexi or Chris or whoever has an idea from this forum, you can come up with something. I have a list of those that I wanted to move on with. One of them is the, you know, like raising kids, mixed kids especially, because they face a lot of this. I'm a parent myself and I experienced the same. And you know, like just basically how is it, how it is, and it doesn't have to be really mixed, because you might have a kid and you can give us our experiences with your kid, yeah. So it doesn't really have to be only, you know, like constrained to being mixed kids. But yeah, so that's one. And I think also I wanted another one where like just basically the financial part of the whole COVID thing. How do you think it's affecting the world as a whole, financially, economically? You know, what, you know, like governments have actually had to take some drastic and crazy things we'll never think a government will do, but they're actually taking them, yeah, in this particular crisis. So yeah, just those are just some of the discussion, but I hope we'll keep on discussing. We hope the team will grow, and just feel free to join. You know, it's one way of connecting, and if we can connect people from across the world, why not? Yeah, have a discussion, and you know, get something going. It's not about being correct on what we're saying. It's just about talking. You know, I'm not professional at this, but we managed to do like almost 3 hours. So yeah. So sorry guys, if you had something to do and you didn't do it because of me, I apologize, but maybe next time we'll be more strict on the time and just focus on it. So just take it as a way of connecting, nothing more, nothing serious. We're just talking. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
It's nice. It's been nice. It's been nice.
So if you guys have anything or you want to, you can just chat me directly, and you know, we can organize something. If you want to do this weekly, I mean like every, like say, weekend, or sometimes, I don't know how your week is, but if we can get like a slot, like maybe 2 hours in the evening, you know, it depends on how busy, because everyone has their own, you know, schedule. So
Yeah.
you let me know, yeah, and we see
Okay.
how we can plan for it. Is that okay? Okay, cool. So I'll post the next one. We still have Easter, so we can still connect Monday or Sunday, depending on what you guys say or what you think. And
we can meet on Monday, because we know it's a holiday period, and we are under lockdown, and probably we can be engaging ourselves, you know, probably
in
every
something,
week.
yeah.
Yeah, you know, at least, you know, we're taking ourselves up. So by talking to each other is very important. So probably we can meet again on Monday, and probably we can, you know.
Yeah, we can have a party online, you know, cook something.
Absolutely, you are right.
Cook something good, you know, we discuss as we eat, and you know, just see if there's family there, just playing around, just, you know, you never know. This might be the norm going
Yeah.
forward, yeah.
And that
I
is
don't know if you guys.
and that is the beginning of the new world order. The new world order is social distancing. So let us take advantage of it. So let us be meeting online as often as we can. so that we can feel each other and also see way of helping the vulnerable ones amongst us. So probably we should spread the tentacle beyond what we have now. So when next we are meeting on Sunday or Monday, we should have more people, and by doing so, we should be able to create a community online
Okay, great.
to support each other.
Okay, great. Lexi, you wanted to say something, a closing remark?
I wanted to read, Kasia posted that there has been a lot of media coverage in Poland about increasing racism since our current party started to rule. I wonder if you guys could also see this, if you feel like it's worth talking about. So there's a topic suggestion, a very good one.
Okay, yeah, sure, we can, yeah, we can definitely work on that. See if we can add it to, I'll just note it down. I'll actually note everything down and just save them, and we can discuss in which is the topic, the next topic. Kasia, I mean, when are you getting back to, was it in Warsaw? Because Kasia wasn't around. I think she's gone. Okay, anyway, we've had...
I'm here, yeah. Hi.
Hi, when are you getting back to Warsaw?
To Warsaw?
Yeah,
I'm actually in Poznań now. I live in Warsaw, but for the quarantine, I came to Poznań.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
And yes.
Why do you travel to quarantine in Poznań? Why? Why do you live? You have to tell us why you go to Poznań, not in Warsaw.
Because my brother is here, and I decided I don't want to be alone in a flat for a long time.
Yeah,
you can me crazy, so I'm together with my brother now.
You can see what we are feeling now. Our own brother is far away, 10,000 kilometers away. Wow, lucky you.
What else I can add? I can tell you a bit more about my situation. My father is right now stuck in Zanzibar, and I don't know when I will see him again. My mother just managed in the last moment to come back with her Indian husband from Australia, and she just finished 2 weeks of quarantine. So I'm going today to see her. So, I have quite a complicated international family, living between Africa, Asia, meaning India and Australia. And now the whole COVID situation makes it even more complicated. So, yes, so I'm also...
You are also feeling what we are feeling. We are missing our families.
Yeah, I can't fly to Abuja. My flight was canceled.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's a bit tough. Yeah, anyway, we get you. We definitely get you. I get you personally. So yeah. I think we're going to close this for now, and let's meet up let's try organize something for next time. So thanks a lot for contribution. Thanks for chatting and socializing, and I really appreciate you guys helping me get this thing happen. As I said earlier, even if we are 2 people, so long as we can have a conversation, I'm easy. So let's see how it goes next time. I think some people actually mentioned that they didn't get the link. So I'll try and include them next time. So anyone who missed this conversation, we can include them in the next time we go online. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So cheers, guys, and have a blessed one. And let's
Same to you.
Yeah, let's keep in touch.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, cheers. Bye.
Bye. Take it easy.
Okay, bye.